Ariel Helwani, the launcher of a new vertical, which someday he will tell us what that means, put out a tweet today and he asked a question. And it was the official fight card for PFL. He simply said, who's buying? It's pay-per-view. He said, who's buying? Now, it's a loaded card. It's got Francis and Problemo on it. Now, that is very interesting. And I gotta tell you, like over the last week, I've looked at Francis differently. The idea of Francis returning to boxing, while a financial flop, was not a sports flop. It was actually quite a spectacle. It was actually quite a wonder. In fact, the most amazing sporting thing that I have ever personally seen was Francis versus Tyson Fury. It defied logic, it defied rules, it defied principles, but it defied beliefs that I have had since I was a child, and many other people would agree with that. And quite literally, the most amazing sporting thing I have ever seen was that. I happened to be at my TV on NBC when Michael Phelps won his 21st gold medal. And I've seen some pretty cool things. And he goes out, he gets cleaned up by Joshua. Put down 3 times and the whole fight was 3 minutes, something like this. Put down 4 times and out and the fight was 4 minutes. It was something along these lines. But then I see Joshua over the weekend and same thing happens to him. In terms of he gets hit 1 time, he gets put down and he can't get up. And but then all of a sudden things kind of change for Francis. I'm looking, I go, well, I don't really know anybody that could have taken those shots by Joshua. It was just a matter of, was he going to land them? Were his setups going to work? Was Joshua going to land on the chin with that power? Oh, by the way, particularly early. Joshua is a much better athlete than he is a fighter. So, all right, great. And Ariel asked this question, though. He asked this question, are you going to watch it? Now, Francis is a very curious case. In terms of, I don't think he's very good. I don't think you think he's very good. I don't think very many men alive can beat him. How's that work? Right? But allow me to explain. Like when you get very good and you start to learn certain systems and not only the fundamentals, but different series and techniques, and you can advance. That's just basic martial arts. You can advance through the system. I don't believe there's a time that Francis is ever going to have a black belt in anything. I think there is a time that he is going to pursue a black belt in anything. But he's already had a gold belt that says he can beat everybody with the black belt. So it's one of these interesting situations. Francis is wildly effective. I don't think you are going to go out and hurry to buy a Francis technique video. I don't believe that coaches are sitting around breaking down Francis with a notepad and backing it up and slowing it down and doing the John Madden with the X's and O's and explaining this to their fighter. This is what Francis does. This is how he does so well. This is how he gets to the body before he comes to the head. I don't think he has anything like that. He was born with an uncanny power. He is not afraid to get in there and mix it up. He's a big man, right? There's these things where, while I can tell you I don't think he's very good, I can also tell you I don't know very many men that could deal with him as a pure specimen. Now, let me personalize. I end up face to face with Francis in a parking garage in Texas, and he's angry. To explain to you what that's like in that moment while maintaining my pride and ego, it's a very interesting thing. I'm squared up with this guy. This is the biggest sumbitch I've ever seen. And I've had that feeling a few times. My buddy Justin and I were 12 years old, and we got tickets right on the rail at the Coliseum in Portland and watched Andre the Giant walk in. And I remember at that time, we looked at each other. This was the biggest man I'd ever seen. And fast forward a number of years. I see this guy, and he gives Rashad Evans a hug, and Rashad was tiny. He was raw. He was like getting ragdolled in this hug, and I got to look up to see him. It was Shaq. Biggest man I'd ever seen. I think Andre and Shaq are both bigger than Francis, but there is something that changes when you're in a parking garage, and he's pissed off. There's just something about it. We're staring at this guy. Oh, my goodness. I'm going to kick this guy right in the nuts in a second. All right, so then let me just tell you my personal experience with Problemo. I'm talking about size, right? It doesn't always come down to skill. When you're at heavyweight and you're getting spotted all of these pounds, when you've got a natural power that just simply can't, the rules are different. Randy Couture is the one that brought that philosophy into the sport. Randy Couture started a gym, a very successful gym known as Team Quest. It's now known as Extreme Couture. You want to know how many people Randy Couture has given a black belt to? The master. multiple-time world champion, owns the damn gym. He can anoint. You want to know how many people in total he has given a black belt to, which includes his own son? Would you like to know? Because it's the same number as he gave brown belts, and it's the same number as he gave purple belts. None. None. He named the gym Performance Quest. It later shortened its name to Team Quest. But the reason it was named Performance Quest is Randy's point, who, by the way, was a world champion, who, by the way, had fought and dominated a number of black belts, but did not so much as have a white belt himself. I don't know that he had a gi. True story. He set out and said, you know what? I don't really care about the positions, and I don't really care about the arts and the secret techniques and what your father's grandfather taught you. I don't really care. I care about who can win. I care about the performance. So it was called Performance Quest. And there was no belts. I'm just sharing this story for you because it's a very interesting concept. And then when you know, Francis Ngannou comes along and he trains at Extreme Couture and he shares the same mindset. And he never did get the black belt and or to my knowledge pursue it, but he's got the gold belt. So it does come down to just flat out effectiveness. Like if you ever dream of being a fighter, you would probably dream that you would be the best fighter in the world, but it'd be an interesting question. Like if I slowed you down and go, okay, do you want to be the best? I mean, you know the motion, the most dynamic, you understand the most positions, right? You're Tim Welsh, right? You understand the position. You're Dominic Cruz. Like you see the sport on a higher level than everybody else. Or would you rather be undefeated? They're not necessarily the same thing. So, all right, I get face to face with Fran. I'm seeing this guy, the biggest guy. I'm literally, it's a great big. I'm staring at one thing. I'm gonna kick this guy right in his balls. Edit the F word out of that. All right, so let me tell you my experience with Problemo. I am doing a press conference, and it's Ryan Bader versus Problemo, and I got to call him Problemo. Because Renan Ferreira isn't a person. Nobody knows who Renan Ferreira is. I don't know who Renan Ferreira is. Speaking of non-black belts, Renan Ferreira, he's got no black belt, but he's going to fight Ryan Bader for the big gold belt in this massive show in the Middle East. And his own coach, Conan Silveira, will tell you about him. Hey, the thing I like about this guy, he's young, he's powerful, he's super hungry for knowledge. He listens to everything I say. The other side of the coin, I need some time. This is not a finished product. He's a purple belt. Just by example, that's fascinating to me. Now, I've only know these things. I never met the guy. I don't even know his name. He's just known as the Problemo. Nobody knows his name. All right, so I'm in the middle of the stage, and Bader comes walking over. Bader's my friend 12 years, right? So I'm giving him a hug. Like I'm trying to be professional in the moment. I'm trying to be on fire. But oh, man, how you doing? It's great to see. I turn the other way. This dude is standing there. It was one of these moments. This was the biggest man I swear to goodness, this is how it felt. And you don't need to tell me like who's taller, who's bigger between he and Francis and Andre the Giant and Shaq. It was one of those moments. We go, what the? I literally had to pull back when I turned and saw this guy. I put my hand out. I don't even know if I said something. I remember thinking, and then I look back at Bader, and Bader's a champion of the world. He's 6 inches shorter. He's 35 pounds less. Bader is polished in every possible way. There is no facet of the sport you would not rather have Ryan Bader's skills. You'd rather have his wrestling. You'd rather have his experience. You'd rather have his MMA. You'd rather have his wins, tournament wins, Grand Prix wins, World Championship wins, multiple weight classes. I mean, this guy is a Hall of Famer, so blatantly obvious. NCAA All-American. Problemo could do none of those things. He couldn't even get a scholarship for the NCAA, but right? He could beat everybody. It's one of those things. So now you're going to put these two monsters in there together, and it really doesn't come down to who's better. Francis is not great. He's wildly effective. Problemo, openly, by his own coach's admission, is not great, not even where they want to be, but he's effective. And it really is an interesting match of who can get to it first, and history says the younger guy is. History says the younger guy who has not achieved it yet, that is on the rise. But history also says that Francis can't go 30 minutes with Tyson Fury and have the majority of the world believing he should have been crowned world champion. It's an interesting match. So I'll answer Ariel's question. Oh yeah, I'm going to buy.